All right, so I'm not any kind of famous blogger or vlogger. I'm just your average fat girl. And I saw this Nicole Arbour video, Dear Fat People. And I don't know. I guess there was a lot of feelings that came from watching that video. I was angry at some of the things she was saying. I was disgusted and a little put off by her. In general, I mean, who starts out a video with "this might be cum in my hair"? Who could be sure? Um, that's pretty that's pretty messed up, and I think that's a good indication of where Nicole herself is coming from. She's obviously got a lot of self-loathing, in my opinion, because of the many times that she insults herself in the video, and other people, fat people, a whole group of diverse individuals that are fat for various reasons. And I've seen a lot of rebuttal videos on this, a lot of great ones, and people say a lot of the things that I wanted to say. So that's great, but basically there's a lot of defensive, like explaining going on, why they're fat, and really I don't feel that's necessary. If you are fat and that's how you're living your life, and you're okay with your body, and maybe you have health issues, maybe you don't, that's really nobody's business. And I don't have to justify my fatness to anybody. It sucks for me. It's been really hard, having been a big girl my entire life from childhood. Do I have a medical reason? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Um, it doesn't matter, because that doesn't entitle anyone to treat me or anybody else as if I'm disgusting or unacceptable to society. Um, I honestly feel like people that act that way and say these kind of things and make these jokes, are super insecure in themselves. And I hope for Nicole that she never has to go through anything that makes her gain weight, in a way that she can't control, or even something that's not weight related that requires empathy and compassion from somebody else, because you clearly don't understand what it's like to have any sort of adversity in your life. Your story about the fat family in the airport and sitting next to the little boy, the child that you're making fun of, um, and saying things like they smell like sausage or they've got Crisco oozing out of their pores. It only perpetuates negative stereotypes. That family did not smell bad. They did not have any kind of grossness to their bodies other than your perceived uh, bigotry, I guess, towards them. Um, and that's not fair. So people who are saying, oh, she's allowed her freedom of speech. No one, you don't have to like what she says, but you can't stop her from saying that. And that's true. But, she wants to stop people from responding, or sort of blanket dismiss people's righteous outrage to this kind of assholery, if you will, by saying you're just all being really sensitive and it's a joke and people are offended by everything, blah, 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 blah. Um, you know, it's taken me most of the 32 years of my life to get to a point where things that are said by people like her, and much worse. I mean, I grew up with a father who would say much, much, much more insulting and terrible, heartbreaking things to me growing up. So her little sad attempts at being funny really don't affect me personally. But I can see how someone younger or who hasn't been through as much or come out the other side yet could be knocked down by what she has to say. And unfortunately, I do know that there's a lot of other people who've never struggled with their weight who agree with her or who think that being mean to someone or insulting to someone is going to prompt them to change. And it just isn't true. If that were true, I'd be the skinniest person on the planet because it's all I've ever heard. Um, so the opposite is achieved by what you're claiming to try and do. Um, if you really cared about helping anybody, you would show some compassion. You would say something about what you do to have your physique. Is it anything, or are you just naturally a thinner person? You know, you can't just go around being ugly and hateful and then expecting a lot of people to be okay and support you in that. It really makes me feel great to see all of the great responses to her that people are just taken aback that someone could be so ugly and be so proud of it and still not see how what they're saying is wrong. I think, at this point, she's still defending her stance on things and defending her video and her comedy. Um, Let me ask you this, Nicole: is having the entire internet tell you that you're stupid or unfunny or a cunt or a slut? These are just some of the things that I've seen in comments that people have had to say about you and your videos since watching it. Is any of that going to change how you feel about what you're saying? And it seems to me the answer is no, because you're still believing that what you have to say is legitimate and right. And that there proves the point on its own that negativity only begets negativity. Everybody trying to be ugly in return to you is not going to achieve any kind of goal that we'd like them to achieve, which is for you to see that you're being cruel and you're not being helpful to anybody when you act that way. And you're only encouraging bullies that exist out there who might be bullying someone who's very, very fragile. And um, it takes a whole lot to build that confidence and build that self-esteem, and it only takes a little bit to break it down. And that's basically what you're doing, and the guys are trying to be funny and it's still even not funny. So, it might even could be forgiven if there were actually a laugh in there. um I've laughed at plenty of fat jokes in my life. It's not something I'm all that sensitive to anymore, but it is sort of like the last final thing that people are allowed to be bigoted about. And it is bigotry. Um, if you were to replace fat with Muslim in your video of every time you said that, people would be just as outraged. You can change your religion if you want. You can change your weight if you want, according to you. So it's just none of your business, and it's none of anybody else's business, someone else's health level, unless you're close to them and you truly care. And if you're close to them and you truly care and you're using insults as a method to try to get them to change, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. Try something else, maybe love, kindness, compassion, empathy. Um, there's a lot more ways to be truly loving and how you're going to try to help somebody to change. And not only that, but make sure they want your help to change. Make sure they want to change. People who think this body positivity movement is bullshit and it's just some way for fat people to promote obesity, which is really funny to me. I don't think anyone's saying go out there and be fat, like gain weight because being fat's where it's at. No. But being alive is where it's at. And being happy with who you are is where it's at. You should not sit there and hate yourself every day because of things that you may or may not be able to change. Um, and I just truly can't see how anyone would think that there is merit in that. And I think that you trying to say that is just bullshit. F your beauty standards, the body positivity movement. It's about people being able to love themselves where they're at in their life, regardless of how they look, how they feel, the ways their body may be betraying them. Um, it's not about saying that you should go out there and get fat. And so it's a simple message that a lot of people are misconstruing to say, oh, the children, they're all going to think you need to go be fat. And it's like, that's just silly. We're saying that we are human beings with feelings and we deserve to be treated that way. So, I mean, honestly, if you have a hard time grasping that concept, uh, that's just mind boggling to me. And I think you need more help than any fat person that ever exists. And I just hope that people like Nicole and Nicole herself can sort of reevaluate the way that they treat people and hopefully speak to people. I pray to God that she's lying or, embellishing her story of pushing the fat kids fat off of her. Let me tell you, at 300 plus pounds, every time I've ridden on an airplane, I've never ever had an issue of my gross fat invading somebody else's seat or territory. Um, so, again, another negative stereotype perpetuated by what is likely a made up story. Um, just please be sensitive to people, your fellow man and woman. um, no one cares about your shitty opinion or your rudeness. No one cares about your need for attention. Um, really, I mean, it's all about you just needing to express yourself and being this like privileged, pretty white girl in America who doesn't know shit about shit. And it's really fucking sad. And it's sad that this has brought so much attention to her, but it's also bringing a lot of attention to this issue, and I think it's important because of all the positive responses that I've seen that made me feel better in general about what strangers may be perceiving me as. Um, but really, my health is my business. And if you're pretending to care by being a shithead, then fuck right off. That's basically how I feel. And if you're a fat person who is watching this video or hearing things like this from, God forbid, people that you care about, tell them to fuck right off. Because it's not fair and it's not right to make someone feel like they don't matter, regardless of the situation. Um, I guess that's about all I have to say on the subject. I don't know if anyone will even see this video, but if one person clicks on it because of her name being tied to it and they see and hear what I have to say, hopefully it makes a difference. Um, you got to do you, and you got to be beautiful in your own skin all the time. So just love yourself and love the people that can't love themselves, because that's all we got. Bye.